welcome to the Fantasy Rewind podcast. I'm your co-host, Dylan Stoll, and I'm joined as always by my friend Mike.
Hey!
So today, we're going to be finishing off the live-action One Piece discussion for Season 1 on Netflix with episodes 7 and 8, titled
The Girl with the Sawfish Tattoo and Worst in the East.
The Girl with the Sawfish Tattoo and the Worst in the East. So this is going to wrap up the Arlong Park arc for the One Piece live action here and send us off into season getting us ready for season 2, sending us off into the sunset on season 1 here. Mm-hmm. So before we go into the content here, I'm just going to give out the typical reminders where if you want to get in contact with the show, you can send us an email at fantasyrewindpod@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram, which is at fantasyrewindpod. And we're on X, aka Twitter, tweet, for at Fantasy Rewind. All right, without any farther delay, Mike, let's dive into the rewind.
Fantasy Rewind. All right, Dylan. So the season finale, both these episodes, I mean, so good.
So good.
I just had to get that out of the way.
Oh,
Nami,
yes.
I love what they did with her. I mean, her arc in general in the anime was so good. This was such a great part of that story. But in the live action, I loved it. I can't get over the scene where, she's stabbing her arm after Arlong, sort of tricks her, dupes her out of their deal. She's stabbing her tattoo. And, Luffy comes up and stops her, and they have the discourse, and she finally is just like, I need help. And finally just instead of being this lone wolf this entire time, relying on Luffy and her friends to help her. And in the anime, that was such a powerful scene, but in this live action, I was just like, when Luffy's just like, of course I'll help. And, then he starts walking and all the other Straw Hats are there just like, yeah, we're here. We're ready to go. It was just, chills. I was just like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, that was the best scene of the season. When Luffy puts his hat on Nami and walks off to go take on Arlong. That scene, like you said, just complete chills, super good. Such a great moment in the show here.
Yeah, and honestly, these two episodes followed pretty closely to the anime, with a few big exceptions. In the anime, her entire village knew that Nami had kind of struck this deal with Arlong. Right. And in the live action, they didn't know, and they just hated her. And I think that did a nice job of creating a little bit more tension between her and the villagers, and it made her it made it understandable why she kind of did this by herself. But at the same time, I was kind of like, why wouldn't she tell at least her sister,
Right.
Instead of just living in this guilt. I believe in the live action, she blamed herself for her mother's death, and that's also why she was taking all this on. And I don't know if we necessarily got that as much in the live action. But also, their mom, cool.
Oh, yeah, Bellamere?
Yeah. So cool. They did such a great job casting her and that whole scene. It was great. So I do want to kind of run through this, bits kind of quickly. But overall, what were some of your favorite moments? Because that's kind of what I just shared.
Yeah, no, like you said, my favorite moment, and I think my favorite moment of the season was when Nami finally broke down and asked for Luffy's help, and he's just like, of course. And just puts his hat over top of her face, keeping it safe, and basically letting her know, this is my most treasured possession. You've got this. You're my treasured possession. You're my friend. I treasure you as much as this hat. Mm-hmm. I'm going off and taking care of business here. So I really liked that scene. I also really loved the flashback for Bellamere and figuring out how she sacrificed herself for the girls and everything, and it was just so sad and so emotional, but so good. On top of all of that, the dude with the pinwheel in his hat, is very interesting, and I like how, anime character. I like how he still kept the quirkiness of having that pinwheel, having his body completely covered in the scars from like trying to stand up to Arlong in the past, and just in general, like this arc was fantastic. Just like so good.
Yeah, you definitely, yeah. And I think I even skipped it, but the conclusion with Luffy and Vice Admiral Garp was really satisfying too, because that was pretty much like kind of how it was, you know? He was just trying to make sure that Luffy was serious and that he was actually going to do this, right?
And that was a little extra added flourish that they did for the show, for the live action show here, was that confrontation between Garp and Luffy. Yeah. Although it is reminiscent of what happens on Water 7 after the Enies Lobby arc.
Yeah, I mean, it never really... Yeah, it doesn't... None of the Garp stuff really happens during the first season. But I am happy that they kind of did that, you know? And you had that sort of acknowledgement, and now Kobe feels like his character's kind of set to sort of step out of the limelight for maybe a season, and then come back in later on. I
feel the same exact way.
And so I think they did a really nice job with that. You know, they sort of kept Kobe there and Vice Admiral Garp and had them progress nicely, so you still remember them. And we might get some flashbacks to them in season 2, but I wouldn't expect them to be as prominent. So that was really cool. I loved that, actually, how that tied in. It was really well done. No complaints. And also Buggy too. I mean, Buggy too, like following him around, and then they attach him to his body, and he just flips him off and leaves. I was just laughing. I was like, yeah, that's great.
See you, suckers. I'm out.
Yeah. I'll help you. No. Yeah. Real quickly, just going through the story here, we get Nami's backstory. We have everyone converge on her village, where it's been taken over by Arlong many years ago. Well, many years ago, actually, probably many years ago. And we have Nami's story about how she was, you know, an orphan due to pirates. Her and her sister, and I put that in air quotes because they're sisters, and that they grew up together, not that they're actually blood sisters, but they were raised by an ex-Marine named Bellamere, and they live in poverty on this tangerine farm. And so, I mean, most of their meals are just tangerines and like day-old biscuits and things like that. Like, they never have a lot of money. They never have a lot of food. And so Nami's always been kind of obsessed with money, and that was like to explain that. And in the show, she hasn't been, which I like, that they sort of, you know, didn't really over the top that, because it is almost kind of like gold diggy vibes in the anime sometimes. So they did a nice job of dialing back on that, but it's still important to her, and we learn why, because she's secretly, Arlong knows this, obviously, but she made a deal with Arlong and joined his pirate crew and to be his navigator and map maker. And in exchange for her doing that, she's allowed to raise 100 million berries, which is an absurd amount of money, to buy her village out of Arlong's control. And Arlong makes this deal with her, and so she's been saving up money, stealing, scrounging, however she could. And he said he could do all that as long as he wasn't holding out on him. She wasn't holding out on him. And buy the village back. And she finally gets enough money to do so, and when she goes to do this, he sends some Marines that he has on his payroll, some corrupt Marines, to take the money from her. And after that, that's when the whole scene with Luffy that we love.
That's when Nami realizes that Arlong betrayed her, that he was playing her this whole time, that she just wasted the last 10 years or so of her life, and so it was like a big breaking point for Nami. And that's, again, where we said, like, she breaks down and finally asks Luffy for help after she just mutilates her own arm where the Sawfish tattoo was.
Which marked her as one of Arlong's pirates.
Right.
Now, I do want to get back to that tattoo later on, because that was probably my biggest nitpick of this whole episode.
I agree 100%. I agree. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Alexis and I both were just like... She's like, how did that just happen? Magic? And I was like, is there magic in this? And I was like, well, there's devil fruit powers, but they can't really explain this one. I mean, at least in the anime, I'm pretty sure, like, it was a much bigger tattoo she got, so it did look like it covered up the old one. Yeah, we'll just talk about it. At the end of the episode, she gets a pinwheel, like orange pinwheel. It's supposed to be, like the Tangerine Grove, and kind of for her mother, and because she would make pinwheels with
the peels,
pinwheel peels, with like a stick and a orange tangerine peel. And so she got that on her arm, and she covers up the tattoo for Arlong's Pirates. But in the live action, she has the tattoo for Arlong's Pirates. It's pretty big. And then at the end of the episode, it's just like, oh yeah, it stings. And it's just like a whole new tattoo is there. The other one isn't even there. And I'm like, that wouldn't cover up what you had previously, so I don't really buy this.
It's a little bit of tattoo magic going on there, where it's almost like they erased the Arlong tattoo and then just did a whole entirely new pinwheel tangerine tattoo. And
could have at least made up someone had a devil fruit power, which was just it took ink out of things. Like, I don't know. Just
devil fruit to manipulate ink and give people tattoos and change them up. And
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that was probably my biggest nitpick. But that's kind of, and well, after that, after the scene where she stabs herself and Luffy says he's going to help her and the Straw Hats go, they find her village destroyed by Arlong to kind of teach them what happens when you mess and you don't pay the amount you're supposed to. And so they go to Arlong Park and they beat up all the fishmen. Luffy and Arlong have a great fight scene together, where Nami's in there and getting the map to the Grand Line, and Luffy finds out that she basically was chained to this desk making maps for Arlong, and you have the flashback of her getting the tattoo there too, and he just realizes like how he was just using Nami and never really acknowledging her as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nami was never his friend. Nami was never really his crew member. Nami was a tool that he took advantage of and used.
And so it does really strengthen Luffy's resolve. He ends up coming up with a new move, which was, I believe it was the windmill? I don't know. He usually named his moves off of something within
that he saw that episode or something, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Anyway, but, he ends up beating Arlong, presumably killing him. We don't really know. We don't really know. But he also destroys Arlong Park, Arlong's entire headquarters, and ruins his empire, as well as pretty much killing every fisherman there.
See, that's the whole thing. I don't know if they actually kill them or not, but they defeat them.
Yeah,
I kind of get the sense that they kill them, but it's never like explicitly made known whether they're dead or if they're just injured.
Yeah.
And in a show like One Piece, I mean, severe injuries happen, and then that person will come back to life, or like come back in the next episode or two.
Yeah.
Unharmed or whatever.
Who knows? I honestly haven't gotten to a part where Arlong showed back up. I feel like he probably will at some point, but I could be wrong. Anyway, they did that fight was a lot of fun.
It was definitely the best fight scene of the season, and it was, like you said, so much fun, so cool, and I just love the moment where like Luffy realizes how he's going to beat Arlong isn't by fighting him. It's by destroying Arlong Park, destroying his maps that he has made, and just like going after that as well as fighting Arlong, and it just like causes Arlong to panic a little bit, because like his whole treasure has been like this map collection he's been having Nami make for him, so he can take over not just the East Blue, but the whole world. And so for him, seeing all that getting destroyed put him like in a vulnerable position for Luffy to finish the job.
Oh man, there's a lot of different pieces to kind of unpack, but we did a nice job talking about the fight scene at the end there, how fun that was. I mean, Zoro had his moment, Sanji had his moment.
I like how they each got redemption against the fishmen that they weren't able to defeat before.
Oh yeah, and then also to Usopp had his Usopp single-handedly took down everyone.
Yes, Usopp got his guy and actually took down a fishman with his special attack, exploding star or whatever it was.
Hot sauce star.
Hot sauce star.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't hot sauce star. It was something. He hit him with he lit the alcohol he had on fire and it killed him. That definitely killed him. Botox fish, as Alexis called him.
Yeah, the one with like the kissy lips.
Yeah. But it was good, and then the fight was good. Everyone kind of had their moment there with that, so that was nice. I do want to say that I thought the people, like the villagers, also were pretty personable, and you got a lot of the emotion from them and their stories too. It was interesting that they never altered the house that was flipped, and I'm pretty sure I did remember that from the anime, that they were told not to or something. There was some reasoning behind it. There's a bit more in the anime in terms of like what Arlong did to the village and whatnot, because they were there for so long. And I do think the live action missed out on explaining kind of the tax piece. Like when Arlong showed up, he wanted tribute, so it was 1,000 berries for each adult, 500 for each kid, and that's why the mother died, was because she only had 1,000 berries, so she paid for the 2 kids to live, and she bit the bullet.
And she knew she was going to die when she did that. Like, she originally gave Arlong 1,000 berries for herself, because Nami and her sister, I forget her sister's name, they were off hiding, and then they come out running and basically stumble into Arlong, and he's like, whose kids are these? They have to be paid for. And that's when Bellemir's like, you know what? 1,000 berries I gave you, that's for them. I get to finally be their mother for real and like buy their life, basically. And that's when she like sacrifices herself for Nami and her sister.
Yeah, and that was also a very powerful scene. But yeah, and we get this in a flashback when the Straw Hat crew is having dinner with Nami's sister. That was a good scene. Sanji was trying to lay down some smooth talk.
Yeah, Sanji was smoozing, but
smoozing. No one's buying it, which I love.
Definitely, isn't as bad as he was in the anime still, which is good.
And I like him and Zoro's kind of like back and forth too. They're getting a little bit of that from the anime into this live action, and it's fun. You have Zoro being like, I don't like that waiter.
Yeah. Stupid moss head.
yeah. All that. So good. So I'm glad that they brought that in. It's those fun little details that really kind of make it. There is, outside of after them beating Arlong and having the celebration, and then Garp showing up and fighting Luffy, and we completely forgot about the mouse marine, or the rat marine who had whiskers. Anime character. Alexis was like, I don't understand why he has whiskers. I was like, because he's a rat. Like, it's a little on the nose. She's like, yeah, but I still don't. Why though? And I was like, it's anime.
It's anime. That's the answer to everything. It's anime. Because that was the marine that Arlong had in his pocket. Was this like little rat marine dude, weaselly marine, who just like was not a good marine, and just like takes the money from Nami, and then of course he gets his comeuppance a little bit. But
you assume that
it at least.
Yeah, that Garp knew
that Garp gets him.
Yeah, Garp probably takes care of that because I mean, there's no way all of Arlong's stuff wouldn't have been coming out of there. He's like, who will taste the might of my blade? And then we're just sitting there like, okay. But he gets knocked out by Nami after Garp kind of has his fisticuffs with Luffy, and he's finally sort of says, okay, Luffy, go be a pirate, which is just great. But they set sail from the island. They have a new part of their trees a new part of the boat with them, which is the tangerine trees. And these tangerine trees are beautiful. They really add into the ambiance of the Going Merry. They are providing the ship with a touch of home for Nami, and it's really such a beautiful thing. I loved it in the anime, and I love it in the live action. And then following that, they sat down and they created a a whole new like sort of memory. And this was also another really powerful scene that I thought was really important from the anime in this, where they each kind of say what their dream is and what they're going after. And you have our buddy Luffy saying he's going to be king of the pirates. You have Sanji saying he's going to find the all blue. You have Usopp saying he's going to be a brave warrior of the sea. And then you have Nami saying she's going to make a map of the world. And they're sort of just, they're all making their promises about what they're going to do, their dreams. They're sharing their dreams. And this was actually the first time you did hear Usopp's dream. So it was pretty cool. I like that moment too. And it was a really great way to end this season before our little
teaser.
After credit teaser, in between credit teaser, which was Smoker. Oh, that was the other thing I completely forgot. Oh, the bounty. Kobe shows up.
Can't forget the bounty part. That part was really cool, actually.
Yeah, and it was a really cool part in the anime, too. I love that episode. Luffy finally gets his bounty, and it's him just smiling and waving. And Usopp's in the background, and that's funny. But, like, you get everyone's reaction who's Luffy's kind of had big interactions with, including Shanks and Mihawk, and it's a really fun moment because it's like everyone's rooting for him. Right,
Mihawk walks up on this beach, sees Shanks and his crew just partying it up, and shows them the bounty for Luffy. And they're like, "Woo, Mihawk, party with us!" And so we kind of get to see Mihawk for a quick second smile and join in a little on the festivities and everything.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time for sure. So, yeah, that was a really fun way to end this episode. And the after credit, or whatever, the teaser, if you will, is Smoker, a devil fruit user who's also a Marine, is lighting Luffy's bounty on fire with his cigars. And he will probably be the Garp of next season, because he kind of was did kind of have that role in a good portion of the next arc in the anime. So,
and I mean, Smoker is actually also quite an important character for this next arc because of like you said, he's kind of in everything. But we also get another like little end teaser of Buggy hanging out with Elvita, who was the big pirate lady who had Kobe to begin with, and it looks like they're going to be teaming up for this next season to go after Luffy.
So we're going to have pirates and Marines going after him, which makes sense because they do team up in the anime as well. And Elvita, thankfully, they didn't change Elvita's person, like the character, because like in the anime, after she has the devil fruit, she's changed, and it's just like, it was like, okay, you went from making her like this big bossy woman to this like slim hot anime girl. Like you couldn't just keep a normal character. So I'm glad they didn't do that, because that would have been kind of messed up. It's fun, and I hope she does have the devil fruit power still, because it's a fun devil fruit power and kind of a fun combination with Buggy. They sort of make they're starting to make their own super group of sorts. So
yeah, I really do feel like the start of next season 2 of One Piece, will be in Logtown or Logtown or whatever.
Logtown. Mm-hmm.
Introducing Smoker, having the whole confrontation of Buggy and Alvita with Luffy and the Straw Hats.
It'll probably be a 2-episode, I would imagine. 2-episode, because there's some other pieces there.
There's a lot to unpack in that,
Zoro and the vice captain of Smoker's crew,
right?
Yeah, and all that. So it'll be fun. I'm really excited for the future of live action One Piece. I think as long as they keep cutting out a lot of that filler and a lot of, sort of thinking about how to make the story flow really nicely,
more cohesive.
I imagine next season will probably be Logtown onto the Grand Line, probably include Alabasta.
I was going to say, Alabasta's where I foresee this going, where I feel like it's going to finish. Yeah.
I would imagine that too. And then I would imagine that the next, if they do have a season 3, it would be probably to Water 7.
Yeah, probably Water 7, Enos Lobby.
Honestly, I think they would probably skip Skypiea.
I think they'll skip Skypiea.
Because that's just a little too much. And it really, in the anime,
it's unnecessary.
After it happens, it really is.
Yeah.
But anyway, let us know what you guys thought. We both really enjoyed the live action One Piece.
Definitely.
Obviously, Dylan started watching the anime. I've been watching the anime, and this was just such a fun show, and we're planning on getting into Percy Jackson next. We'll see about an episode next week or not. I do know that I have my parents coming into town, so I will be otherwise busy, but we'll try our best to get those going pretty quickly here.
Fairly soon. All right, but with all of that being said, this is so long to One Piece, and hello to Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, or is it Percy Jackson and the Olympians?
Either or. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief is the name of the first book. Percy Jackson and the Olympians is the name of the series.
Okay, so on to Percy Jackson and the Olympians then. All right, Rick Riordan, let's see what you got. This is Two Nerds signing off. Goodbye.
See ya.